Alright, so this being the first session, I keep it very open ended. Essentially, I believe this is what we are looking forward to first of all, and next the admit of our choice. So with respect to this top score, as you've already seen, some of the ingredients are written. What is your assessment? What would it take you to get really the score that you're looking forward to, whatever that is? Let's see that, and if you could please contribute, let me know. And your assessment, this is my assessment, it could be your assessment. I'm not asking what score is required, I'm asking what would go into getting that score. What would be required to get that score? First you believe, the belief itself is required. What else is needed? So focusing on your weaknesses, consistency, yes, and rigorous practice, right techniques. What else do we need? Calmness during the exam, fundamentals, yes. So techniques and right approach, time management. You believe pacing essentially. What else goes into getting a high score? Confidence, yes, the kind of confidence that you need. So that comes by concept clarity. Yes, you said? Yes, you need mental stamina as well. What else? And tell me your assessment. It's not necessary that you have to rattle off what I've written. It's not necessary. Although most of it will be common because I've kind of covered everything. But the right training, oh that I didn't write. Right training and direction you're saying. The psyche of the examiner, that is the test maker's perspective rather than the test taker's perspective. What else according to you goes into getting a high score? Your own effort. So let's see, I'll spend some time on that aspect first because I need to really set the tone right. And today then we have a session on reading comprehension and critical reasoning, the first session. How to go about those areas. So let's see, I'll just whatever is written there I'm writing here and I'll talk about very quickly what all is needed. So first thing is the belief, and that is why the website also starts, our website starts with belief change video. And you would have seen so many people just saying that I came hoping to get a 700 or a 680 or a 710, but so I guess if you don't have this, whatever your belief is, that is the starting point. So I very strongly believe in this. You got to believe that you get a better score, you can get a better score. Irrespective of the level that you're coming to us at the same time, if you say someone exceptionally bright and exposed to the GMAT already might need just 2 months, you might need 4 months. But essentially I feel there is no such thing that someone very sharp only gets a high score. That has been disproved time and again in our system. So that definitely doesn't hold. You may sit this side please. Clearly the commitment not in the sense every day you'll study or not study, please this side. Commitment that till the time I write the exam, I really will not waver and first thing I'll write the exam. Okay. Shocking statistic, 25% people who come to us only end up writing the exam in their lifetime. I'm not joking, I'm really being honest with you. And this will happen with some of you here also. I'm sure some of you have already written the exam or trying to really do your best, and trying to improve your score. But I've seen this happen many times. People just lose interest or fizzle out on something, find something more interesting or believe the GMAT is so difficult. For some reason, they just don't go to the finish. And it's very shocking for me also. 25% people who join me, and not me alone, everywhere, about 25% people end up writing the exam. It's very shocking, but it happens. Consistency, no doubt about it. I don't think I need to really stress on this quite a lot. Hi, come this side please. So my answer here is I will need 3 hours per day from you rather than give me 21 hours over weekends. So that won't work. So don't just study Saturday, Sunday and say fine I'm doing enough. I'll need this input more than 21 hours a week. That is fine, but 3 hours a day. Okay, very crucial. Pen? Okay, so shift here or something. You may just go there. Anything. Concept mastery here, something very crucial for us to understand. Let's see some scenarios. Okay. So on the exam day, let's say in the verbal section, I'm taking verbal as an example. SC has first 5 questions on verbal, let's say are SC. There are 2 scenarios. One could be that I'm right on all 5, but I'm not sure on any of them. But coincidentally I'm right on all of them. I kind of thought it was right and everything turned out right. Versus I know I'm right. And trust me, there's a world of difference in these two. And feelings also, not just this, whether you're right or not. If you feel there is some amount of shakiness while marking the answer, what may happen, I'm sure you all know this, but what may happen, let me hear out from people. One that for when you have this, but when you have this, let's say you're not sure at all of any of the 5 answers. So one, it adversely affects your psyche. In fact, from 6th onwards you'll start judging the level, even if the level is not to be judged. You'll actually start judging. Why am I being given such a simple question? What did I do? All of that. So that negative self-talk starts. In a way you lose the exam in your mind before you actually lose the exam. And I'm sure I'm speaking your language here. So for this, that I know I'm right, this applies to data sufficiency, this applies to sentence correction, reading comprehension and critical reasoning. It does not apply to problem solving usually. Problem solving is where more or less you know you are right because you calculated it, but there also the GMAT plays a different ploy. It will give you a language which is kind of susceptible to 2 interpretations, and one of them the wrong interpretation, the other the right one. So this happens even in PS, but the frequency is low, but everywhere else, can you really ensure that at least on 9 out of 10 questions when I think I'm right, I know I'm right also. It's something that only exceptional concept mastery can give you, nothing else. Techniques also will matter only when you do the concepts right. So techniques are part of your concepts. But yes, that is why concept mastery. And I place an extraordinary emphasis on this area, extraordinary. So concept mastery, absolutely no doubt about that. Content mastery is slightly different. So you may know certain concepts, but let's say the pacing part of it, or you've not enough practiced anything, this would be content mastery. Whatever, yes please, please be seated this side. If you could please sit in the front or that side, there are loads of chairs free. Actually this side you won't be able to see, that's why, so just come in front, it's fine, come here. Content mastery is extremely different from concept mastery according to me. Content mastery is sentence correction, for example. Let's say you have done about 100 questions. You've done about 100 questions, learnt all the concepts. Problem? You can shift there for that reason. Okay, that side, wherever I think, just in the corners you can go. So content mastery would be, let's say with just 100 questions and the theory that you need or concepts, you've learnt everything and you believe you can solve questions, but you haven't done, let's say 500 plus more questions. There is another approach here. When you say content mastery, one is I finish things. So I ask you to do 500 questions and you do 500 questions, and let's say you start with an accuracy of 5 out of 10, and you after doing 500 or 1000 questions you still reach only 6 out of 10 maybe. So this is not content mastery. I would rather believe, please seat it. You can come in there, it's fine. He should be fine, I hope. Who is finding this problem? Otherwise I think you can shift. Okay, you guys are finding this. Okay. Which part is not okay? No, it's okay. I think it's okay. You can sit there if that's the case, because they're not able to see some people because of you. You can go there in that place. I believe if you solve a few questions, your accuracy has to improve, and for that you need to solve and practice in a way that completely is like, okay, I should feel after solving every 20 questions that I have improved something. How does that happen first of all? Does it happen normally when you keep solving after just 20 more questions? Do you feel content mastery of any kind actually? That okay, solve 20 more questions and I feel I am more confident for the content. Normally does it happen? Just
it happens that if I solve 20 questions and get 80% 90% correct, but sometimes I may not get within 40% correct. So that disheartens me for further preparation.
my question is something else, but that's what my question is. If you solve those 20 questions and understand them extremely well, you've given your genuine effort, you've seen the solutions, do you think for the next 20 you're better prepared normally, or you feel normally with 20 we don't improve? I don't think with 20 we normally improve. Absolutely. So that is one. My answer has always been, when you practice, you have to believe you're improving, you have to improve. Mindless practice just makes no sense. You may solve a document that used to be famous earlier called 1000 sentence correction. You may solve all of it and you may just reach from 5 on 10 to 6 on 10. This is useless practice for me, and whatever you practice is not important unless you really improve. That means if I solve a question and I get it wrong, I just can't say fine and let me read the solution and somehow understand how this question was to be solved. I need to really understand why I went wrong. You may decide why I went wrong in a particular question. Fix that at a conceptual level, not at the question level. If you solve a math inequalities problems, let's say anything in inequalities, one can be, let me see the solution and I know how this question is solved and I satisfy myself. Normally this is the study we do. If you get it wrong, according to me, go back to inequalities concepts and fix the why you got it wrong rather than what the solution was. And with 20 questions also you can improve really well. That's what content mastery is. So just don't be satisfied by looking at a particular solution. That is really bad approach. Fix the reason why something went wrong for you. You may sit this side somewhere please, because you won't be able to see from here. Okay. Another crucial thing, what do I study? Because there is so much material available on GMAT that at least 3-4 years ago, till 3-4 years ago, people used to just collect materials from various websites and used to really store them. Has it happened for a lot of you also? It must be there, like you have so much material, you possibly don't know where to read. You may go there please, it's alright. Okay, please. So very crucial, what do I study? When I use the word write content, I simply mean any content that has been officially published earlier. Okay, that means that has been part of the official material. If that is not the case, you will really struggle. Whatever you study apart from that. When I say officially published, does not mean official guides only. Because official guides are extremely low compared to what you would need. Officially published could be anything that has been real GMAT problem collected from various sources. That is not a problem. So we have a huge collection of questions that have been collected from various sources, but I can't tell you how crucial this can be. Extremely important that you practice the right material. So in terms of concepts, you may refer to anything. Although my suggestion would be refer to what I ask you to, but frankly nothing is really bad if it's genuinely written by the GMAT expert somewhere. But in terms of practice, even one question practice from any other material apart from real GMAT is really not giving you the right simulation. Let's understand that why this happens. Okay. So this exam is never prepared by only subject matter experts, it is prepared by psychometricians. These are people who know how your mind will fall for a trap and how you are open to misinterpreting language. This is something that they know fundamentally, and that is what they cash in on. So in a math problem, a simple math problem with 5 options, you read this and you believe B is the answer and you've done everything right, and B will be actually available also as the answer, but B is the wrong answer. You will do the right calculations, but you will get the right answer, but this will be the wrong answer. Can you tell me why this could happen? You've done everything right. This slight misinterpretation possible in the language, and that is what they cash in on clearly. So if you understand a question wrong, there is possibly no hope in that case, and you will never feel that, sorry, one second. you'll never feel that you've gone wrong anyway, but this happens really. This happens quite a lot. So psychometricians can do something like this on a data sufficiency problem. You are absolutely sure. Have you seen the first 10 DS problems, by the way, in the video? First 10 DS problems, if nothing else. Okay, if you have never done those questions before, some of the questions may have been seen by you because they are real GMAT. If you have never done those questions before, what was your assessment before you actually saw the solution? Did you think your answers would have been right or not? No, while solving, did you feel it should not be so difficult?
Yeah, it should not be so difficult, but I was falling for the trap, the same trap that you explained in that video.
But look at a question like an even and odd number we can go wrong in. That means the exam is not testing you on tough concepts in math, it's testing you on very basic concepts, but it is designed by people who know what you will not do. So you may not assume a number to be an integer when it is supposed to be assumed. You may assume a number to be an integer when it's not supposed to be assumed. You will take some assumptions in critical reasoning. All sorts of things may happen, and that is why I really need to take care of this aspect. That's why we were talking about when you say practice with the right content, it's extremely important why you need not practice any other material. Today, if I create GMAT material myself, I'll be very perfectly fine with subject matter expertise, but I don't think I'll simulate the other side of it, psychometric side of it. So if I am making a math question, how I will make it is, suppose the correct answer is 60, so I'll write this as 60 and 4 answers I'll write absolutely randomly, and I'll not use any problem, any language that is open to misinterpretation. So it is giving you math practice, but it is not giving you GMAT practice in a way. That's where we falter, because so many times I've heard, I thought I was going perfectly all right on my test, I don't know what happened. Have you heard some similar sentiment from someone, or have you experienced it already? That according to me I did everything right. I think this happened with you. Who with you while solving you were feeling it was going fine. So this is the reason why, because when you study any other material you will never get that practice, and it's seen countless times. That is why right content here means anything that has been released officially, even if it is some official material that they don't intend you to study, you can study that. There are lots of official material that they believe you should not be exposed. I'm sure you know that, but it should be published by GMAT experts, that is the GMAT. I have already written this. Even if you practice 10 to 20 questions, you should feel after these 20, if I fix what I was bad at, I'll improve. Personally speaking, I have never been a huge favorite of lots and lots of practice, that okay, let me write 25 mock tests and I'll improve. In fact, all the 760 kind of scorers that we've had, 750, 760, 770, they wrote not more than 6 mock tests, not more than 6. Because the purpose of a mock test is not to improve. The purpose of a mock test is to benchmark, and after that you go back, fix everything, and then you improve. Normally by taking more number of tests it doesn't work. Similarly, by just keeping on practicing it doesn't work. Take a set of 10, 20, 30 questions maximum. Just don't look at the solutions only, look at why you got something wrong. In fact, you should also look at why you got it right and why were you shaky, even if you got it right or wrong. So with 20-30 questions you should feel that genuine improvement of some kind, that yes, it's happening. Okay, irrelevant content I've already talked about. Test maker's perspective, I've already told you this. Almost every difficult question on GMAT, officially correct question, has some amount of trap in it. So all GMAT 700 to 800 level questions are not tough because they are tough by nature of math, verbal, grammar, reasoning, reading. Not that at all. In fact, they are tough because they have some amount of trap somewhere. Also this happens, let's say sentence correction or critical reasoning have a few patterns. It's not mindless that okay, let's solve 200 CR questions and all 200 should be understood differently. We've seen this happen that in a weaken the argument question, there will be a particular pattern that will be followed. In an assumption question, there will be a pattern. In a primary purpose question in RC, there will be a pattern. In a data sufficiency question, there will be a pattern. So essentially, I believe SC, CR will have about 7 types maximum. RC has about 3 types according to me. Problem solving and data sufficiency, again about 7 types of questions. So it's not that there are 1000 questions, so there are 1000 patterns. It doesn't work that way. Again, I don't need to really tell you this. You must focus on your weaknesses always, but it is easier said than done. What are we more likely to do? Okay, tell me. Those of you who have been good at math and you've already prepared, what was your pattern of study? Was it more towards RC or more towards math still? Or more towards SC maybe or something? Or what was your weakest area? Did you really focus most on that? You focused a lot on SC? You focused. But did you focus a lot on RC? That is your weak area, I agree, but did you focus?
I worked a lot, but almost I couldn't.
Okay. How about you? You saying RC was a problem for you also? No, not okay.
I didn't focus anything else.
You did not focus. And that was a weak area. So this happens again, I think. What we are good at, we tend to study it more because we enjoy it more. Subconscious it might have. You might not do math believing that math will be a waste of time, but maybe sentence correction versus reading comprehension. We are still more likely to do SC. Even if RC is equally bad, our focus may be only on SC. So this is what weakness is, what you need to focus on. We'll also see what is the most important. Again, yes, please come. Hi. Come this side, please, somewhere. When I say quality over quantity, I have already stressed this point. Again, saying that give enough deliberation before you ever see a solution. The only way to improve, particularly in math, if you believe in math, you are stuck at a 48 or a 49 also. The only way to improve is give yourself enough time so that you feel hands up, nothing else. I can't solve this problem even if I have a day more with me. Then see the solution. It will always stick. Otherwise, things just don't stick. When you see a solution, after a month, you will not really remember anything. You might remember the answer, but not why that answer came. That will not happen. Okay. So this is what, to me, practice is beyond the point practice should cease to matter. So someone who solved, let's say, 500 CR questions versus someone who solved 1000 CR questions, if you do it my way, after 500 most probably you should not improve. You should just do it maybe just for your hobby after that. You should not actually improve after 500. Should not means you should have mastered it so well till 500 that you reached your peak capacity. That may be 85-90%. So that 90% most probably will not go to 100% by solving more. So if you solve extraordinary huge amount of material, I think it's really the wrong approach. Again, as we learn, in fact 2 of them we'll learn today. The advantage of techniques as it is written here, I'm sure you realize, one, you will know you are right rather than you'll just feel or you think you are right. Is this a huge plus on your test day? Is this a huge plus that you already know you are right? You will see that in RC today when we solve just in a few minutes from now. Knowing that you are right is a feeling that you can't imagine how good that feeling can be, because then psychologically you are topping the test, not the other way around. If this happens in 5 questions out of the first 10, that you just will not be able to believe the entire test may go for a toss that day. That may not be your day after that. 5 out of 10 questions, you may be right, but you are not sure you are right. The day is gone then, completely fail. Okay, also, this is difficult for me to even ask for because I know everyone's working. That level of concentration of study, that this was my best time, but try to simulate it as often as possible. Don't tell me 3 hours will mean essentially a net input of not even 1 hour. That makes no sense then. And it's all for you. It's not for me that you have to tell me 3 hours and you're just doing it for that. So clearly right. One of the bigger things that I've always seen, it's all written in your booklets. I've just kept it here so that some cues I can take and tell you. What is the area that needs the maximum concentration on GMAT? Which part? You agree it's RC, right? And RC comes in the 4th hour. And it's always been a case, how do I train people? This has always been a challenge for me also. It was in fact at some point in time. What do you do? Because I can tell you how to solve a question, I can teach you the techniques, but I can't make sure you will concentrate. I can't make sure even I will concentrate for that matter. I mean, out of 10 days, maybe 9 are good days for me, 1 is a bad concentration. So that day if I write the exam, I'll really mess it up myself. And that you can't do, there is no substitute to good sleep or something. Hi, come in please, no problem, please be seated. There is absolutely no substitute to those things. Now, how did I solve that problem for my students? Where do you feel the difference from a 680 to a 760 is made? I am telling you that secret, where people really jump in scores with us, really. If I say RC is the most crucial, for how much time of the about 4-hour exam, for how much time on the test is RC? 30, 35 minutes. Let's say ideally 30, not more than 30. 30 is also slightly on the outside, but let's say 30. If I can say that I'll practice 4 hours RC only, I'll struggle a lot initially. You will never be even able to match 4 hours first of all. You'll give up in 1.5 hours max initially. This is easy only in writing, easier said than done, as we say. It's very difficult to simulate. But imagine if you can train your mind to do 4 hours of RC only and still be able to concentrate in the 4th hour. Do you see some advantage? Your problem of concentration, mental toughness, stamina, and to some extent even pacing will disappear. So, this is exactly the difference that is going to be there between a 680 and a 760 performance. Practice RC for 4 hours even if your RC is good, at least 8-10 sittings like that, just to improve your concentration and stamina. Because I never found a solution for my students until a few years, maybe until 4-5 years ago. And I've been training for this for quite some time. This was a personal challenge. How do you ensure people will concentrate? Right now the rate has been that many people are able to concentrate, at least they don't come back and tell me this problem. In fact, this used to be the biggest problem for all the students. Do we agree here or not? You would have faced? Who has faced this problem on the real test? Raise your hands. Okay, quite a few people actually. So, you feel, okay, whatever happens, even if 1 year is at stake, I can't solve it right now, I want a break and leave the exam. This is what happens. You reach this stage.
The problem is not getting the answer right. The problem is getting the answer right in that time.
Exactly.
Give me 5 minutes for a question, I'll get the answer right. You give me just 1 minute, 1.5 minutes.
So that's where I guess why would you need more time on a question? Maybe because of concentration. Sometimes are you able to solve similar questions fast also?
Yeah, sometimes.
Does it happen that similar level difficulty you can solve some questions faster? So exactly this. Now for that, one more thing is, normally the GMAT level, if it is X in RC, then LSAT, the other test that the American universities take for law, this is 2x in difficulty and longer also. And I make you practice 4 hours RC on LSAT so that GMAT after that looks so simple and childish. Frankly, it's very easy after that. So to solve the problem of concentration, mental toughness, pacing and stamina, this works wonders. You can actually see a jump from maybe 80 points jump happens because of this thing. So quite important. Okay, very quickly all these things. One thing the GMAT hates is consecutive mistakes. So if you say I'll get 3 wrong answers in quant, make sure they are not in 4, 5 and 6 or 34, 35, 36. Each of these will be penalized very severely. 3 consecutive mistakes at a particular level might mean your score will drop by 50 to 80 points at that instant. So if you have to make 3 mistakes, maybe 1 to 10, 1 mistake, 11 to 20 another mistake, and 21 to 30 another mistake maybe. That is alright. So then your score will not drop as much. Consecutive mistakes, major problem. When will this problem come the most, consecutive mistakes? Towards the end? One in RC? And other is if your pace is bad. And this also I have seen many times, people who are very good at math particularly. This is generally a problem that I have seen with people who are very good at math, let's say. I can reach question number 29 in, let's say, about 72 to 74 minutes. And maybe there is only one mistake I made, only one wrong. I'm talking about such proficiency in math. But I'm left with 8 questions with 1 to 2 to 3 minutes only. So whatever great happened here will all drop. This is reasonably difficult to master, but that is why we have something called pacing chart. We'll talk about that. But very crucial, why you cannot have consecutive mistakes, because the GMAT is an adaptive test. It drops your score in subsequent chunks, and that is why RC is the most crucial on your exam. 2 bad passages, you will have a drop of at least 120 points on your exam, irrespective of what you were scoring earlier. So that is why when you feel that, okay, I was doing all right, I was at about 730, why is it that I scored only 620? This is the answer. When you get the feeling I did almost everything right, what happened? This is the reason, this is the answer. Consecutive mistakes happen automatically in RC. So your first job, if you want to really cross that 730 mark, your first job is, no matter what happens, RC accuracy has to touch almost 100%. 100, absolute 100 is always wrong to say. Almost 100 under time pressure. So all the things are negative with RC. 1, it comes in the end. Your concentration is anyway low. 2, it needs a lot of concentration. 3, you always have less time. When you see a passage, how do we greet a passage? When we see a passage on the test, even if I know 8 minutes I can give, do I feel comfortable I have 8 minutes? So my first reaction is, why is it even there? Right? In sentence correction that doesn't happen. One question in CR you will not greet like that. RC is a general challenge that way, and you have 2 chunks like this and your test is over that day. You can't really get into a 680 also. It just won't work. So if many more times I hear RC suffers, and the same thing, the test, okay, in the other way around, in fact, if your test score is low, more often than not, RC is the culprit. Pacing chart, so I have given on your booklet, you can see at the end of 10 questions in quant, you should have about 55 minutes remaining. This is something that you have to really remember. Page number 6, the same thing. Verbal, it works a little differently. Quant, 10 minutes, 55. 10 questions 55, 20 questions 35, 30 questions 15 minutes remaining. In verbal it works. Yes, please come. Could you come this side itself, please, somewhere? It'll be easier for me to focus on one group. So. In verbal again, 10 questions 58. 20 questions 41, so something like that. So basically quant, you are doing about 2 minutes per question. Verbal, you are doing about 1.7 minutes per question. 1.7 is 1.7 into 60 seconds, that way you can say around. So 1 minute 40 seconds roughly is what you are taking on verbal. Quant, you are taking about 2 minutes. There is another big problem if your pace is bad, and these are things you may have heard, I am just putting them in perspective. So in math, let's say out of 1 to 37, you mark only 36th answer and your time is up, and the 37th is unmarked. Irrespective of what happens here, this alone will mean some penalty. This alone, that you did not mark the last answer. Even if it had been wrong, no problem, but you should have marked it. Yes, please. Could you come sit that side itself, because then I'll have to just, yeah, there's space there. This is really bad, because if you don't click for that, if you have to lose points, what can be worse than this stress? What can be, suppose 30 points are deducted just for not clicking the last answer. Is that painful or not to know that thing? It's very painful. I mean, even if your score is reasonably good and say, oh, I lost 30 points. So once again, how will you do that? And you have to avoid consecutive mistakes also. And you have to finish the test also. So that very clearly shows, if you don't follow the pacing chart, it is the most difficult. According to me on the GMAT, the most difficult part on the test day within those 4 hours is this pacing itself. In one word, if I were to say what is the most difficult part, if you are prepared all right, everything is perfect, pacing is where you will face the biggest challenge. Yeah.
Suppose we are over enthusiastic and we are left with some kind of actually a bit of
This happens also. This also happens actually. Not at all.
if there is
You are expecting too much of the wrong thing. No bonus there. No bonus there. So please finish it in time, not before. Mental toughness is on the test day. If I just give up that, okay, fine, I can't solve this problem. How much time do I take before I decide I move on? Marking something, you can't leave it blank there. So, and surprisingly, very surprisingly, when people write their first mock test, when their individual test question time is there, how much time you took on each question, you might surprise yourself by finding that you took 8 minutes per question on 4 questions, which you never thought in your wildest you could take. 8 minutes, and you will not even believe 8 minutes, because while solving it never sounded like 8 minutes to you. Has it happened in a mock test that you realize, oh, 5 minutes, how did I take 5 minutes on this question, and you saw that it showed 5 minutes, something like that? Is there a feeling like that somewhere? Happened somewhere. So I have to be very strict with my own self. Mental toughness is, if I have to leave a problem, I have to leave it within 2.5 minutes. Because I believe if you can't solve it in 2.5 minutes or 3 minutes on the outside, there is very, very little chance you will be able to solve it in the next 3 minutes. Very little chance actually. Okay, if it doesn't happen in first 3, extremely little chance happens in the next 3. And I've got to, because all my pacing will be screwed otherwise. So I need to really, really control that thing somehow. So that's, remember this very clearly. Mental toughness is, can I leave a problem quickly? So that is what exit strategy is here. Okay, all this is written, just read this. I don't think I need to explain, but extremely important. It's a disaster if all the time you're feeling what the level of this question is, what the level of the last question was. Am I getting a question that will count or not count? Is it an experimental question or is it? It's disastrous. So you have to train your mind in some way that, assuming, okay, we know that the test is adaptive, start believing it's not adaptive. The best thing you can do is assuming that the test is linear and not adaptive. It's not necessarily. That is why I said for first 10 you should take 20. That doesn't mean every question 2 minutes. That doesn't work. So one question may be in 30 seconds, the other question might need 3 minutes. But on average, around that you have to get clearly. Not at all. None of that is not the way GMAT operates. So clearly you got to solve each question, you got to mark each question answer. If you still have not solved, you have to still mark something and move on. Yeah, you cannot leave anything unattempted, yes. Okay, who has this problem that tests in general and particularly aptitude tests, they just freak you in some way that, okay, my performance is bad only because it's an aptitude test. Does it happen? Do we have those nerves? It happens with you. Could you describe how this works for you? Like,
This especially happens with GMAT. I mean, the first time I gave it, it's more like, even if it's like a mock test, when I see the screen, I'm like, oh man, it's kind of like that. So, and then, so basically, I think one of the reasons why you score really low is that, okay, you have that thing in your head that,
do you do something to counter this and to challenge this?
not like, I mean, I tried to give more mock tests, but then I don't think that helped either, because I was just giving tests and I was not analyzing for something.
Okay. See, I'm speaking almost everybody's pain area here. I don't think everyone is nervy about this thing, but if you are, no matter how much I train you, no matter how much you study, the results are going to be disastrous most probably. If this is what happens to you. So you find a way out. I don't know a way out to this problem. Personally, I haven't faced it much. so I won't know the solution. If it happens a lot with you, anyone else who really feels this is a problem, and it's okay, you may be honest with me, absolutely no problem, be as honest as you can be here.
No, I was not, but some of my friends described that it's too tough, it's too tough. So somehow it started affecting my mind, and I was not able to do it.
You were not able to do well only because someone else told you it was a tough exam. Okay.
People told me several times, not just once.
Okay. So yeah, you need to really fix this. If it's not a problem, great, absolutely great. If it's not a problem, because this is a difficult problem to solve. Okay, all this, guessing the level of a problem is the worst thing again you can do, because if I had asked you in the video, if you were to guess 5z is an integer and 3z is an integer, and I asked you what is the level of this problem, before telling you the answer key, all of you would have really asked, you would have called me an idiot after that. This is a 300 level problem maybe. And we know what the level of that problem is, because your answer doesn't match finally. So clearly, things like these, I am not supposed to do that first, because I am not even qualified as a candidate to comment on the level of a problem. The same problem the next day would sound very easy to you, especially in critical reasoning. This is something that will happen again and again. The same CR argument I can solve with absolute precision the next day or the next hour also. At that time something happens really, and your mind may just refuse to understand. So judging the level of a problem is the worst thing you can do, but still, because we are all humans, we know it's adaptive, we'll have to train our mind. It's not going to be as I say and you believe it and it's done. These are things that will take that's why all of them are on one slide here. These are things that are not easy to master, because these are all psychological issues. When I say the exam is out to play a serious mind game with you, what do you mean by this, by the way? It's actually true though. What do I mean by this? The exam is out to play a mind game with you, according to you. What kind of mind game?
You have to think continuously and analyze continuously.
No, that's not the mind game. That's one, absolutely. So that's a mind game. Could you elaborate? I didn't get it. Sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, psychologically you're saying weaknesses as in not the subject weaknesses. Yeah, true. What else could I mean by this statement? Because these are important. Before we start the subject matter, I have to tell you all of these things once. What else could this mean to you? Exam is out to play a mind game with you.
Whatever happens is exam.
Okay, so one is, as you said, it makes you feel like choosing the wrong answer because it sounds more attractive. That's one. The other thing here is, when you say I have to pace up, your mind will start blanking out. So whatever measures you take psychologically to fix things, usually they don't work if it is the first or second time for you. Right from the start, if I know this, according to me you should read this page number 6 at least once a week, just to be very clearly geared for all these things not to happen that day, all this. Okay. And how do I defeat the intention is, there are two things, only two things. One, I am so good at my concepts that I know what I am marking is correct, and second, I have done RC practice so well that I can take care of all the other areas as well in terms of concentration, mental toughness, and pacing, stamina, all of that. Okay. Other things, it looks so trivial that I should be talking about sleeping the previous night. Goes without saying, you should. I've had at least 10% of the students, almost all of their horror tales start with this. I could not sleep the previous night well. Do I share somebody's sentiment already here? Did it happen?
Yes, it always happens. Before any exam, read the mock test or college.
मॉक में भी हो जाता है? ये क्या बात है?
I can't sleep till 4 a.m. or sometimes even 5 a.m.
So, I mean, see, this is there. I mean, good that he is confessing to it first of all. I have a very serious intention when I write this. I don't know how you will fix it. But if this is not met, whatever you do, if I don't sleep, when I read RC without having slept properly, my RC accuracy is usually 100%. I don't think I go wrong these days at all. But I might not even get 30% if I have not slept well. Personally, I am talking about. So it's the same for all of us. How do you ensure it, by the way? There is nothing you can do, frankly. How would you ensure it this time?
I just lay on the bed and wait for. That's all.
No, but can we do something to fix it? I'm asking you. Let me hear you out, because this is a serious thing.
Probably go for a jog or something and.
Okay, so people try to do something special just because it's an exam or it's an occasion or something. So just don't do. Yeah. Right. So whatever, I mean, just ensure this somehow. You should know that this is a bigger horror tale than anything else, and I have no answer. Though nobody has an answer to fix it first. Nobody can tell you the previous night, I'm sure you'll be able to sleep well, just do this. So I don't know about this, but this really breaks. Also, don't change any routine or habits just because there's an exam. Just don't let it become a huge occasion psychologically. It's a huge occasion maybe, but not psychologically. Let it not play on your mind. Is there anything else that you want to talk about on that page? Just read that up once quickly, so that we are all on the same page before we move on to discuss reading comp and critical reasoning. Has it ever happened? The sleep. Okay. So I'm speaking your language then. Never consulted you before writing this. Sleep also has a problem. You could have sat with chairs with flaps if you wanted to. Is it comfy? Is it all right? Okay. Any questions on this? Any suggestions how to fix some of these? Because I don't know, a lot of psychological issues don't have an answer. They just have a problem to tell you. No, not at all. Otherwise, why will people score badly? If that is the case, they've answered the master. So people master the concepts normally, and if there are 5 areas, I think there are 5 areas where people would defer that AWA happens and IR happens, but problem solving, data sufficiency, SC, CR, RC. Usually people go into the exam with about 3 areas mastered, up to 80%, not even 100 or 90, and 2 areas weak. They already know that I might mess up in these 2. So that's what people write exams sometimes knowing that they will not do well. They just know they will not do well because they are not well prepared and still write the exam. So all this happens, all of it. It's a very human exercise in that sense. Very human. Yeah. Any other thing here? Okay. So let's see. I'll talk about reading comprehension.